Hello and welcome to the Mental Wealth Lab, where I help you make the connections between your mental health and your wealth. I am Gerard Anderson, your financial social work coach, and today we're going to talk about overcoming chronic financial stress. A lot of y'all are stressed out about your finances, and it's causing negative results in your health, in your body, in your emotions. So we got to talk about this, okay? But before I get started, please do me a favor and tap that subscribe button, and please share this channel with other people who you know need to hear this message of mental health and wealth. So let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. The reason why I decided to make a video about this, I was doing some research online and I ran across this study that a group called the Penny Hoarders group did. And they did a survey of Americans and some interesting statistics they came up with. The first one that caught my eye is that the average American, it says, spends 96 days a year. That's 26% of your year worried or anxious about finances. You're worried and you're stressed about finances. Now, honestly, I think it's a whole lot more than that, but that was interesting. Another interesting statistic is that 43% of people worry about finances multiple times per week. Another one said 65% say that the cost of essential living expenses is their biggest source of financial anxiety. So just think about that. Every day you have worry and anxiety about whether you're going to have enough to buy groceries to keep food on the table, or whether you're even going to have enough to keep a roof over your head. And as a school social worker, I deal with families all of the time who find themselves in situations where, they just can't afford to continue paying rent for wherever they are, or something unforeseen happens and they get evicted. So 65%, their top worry was just meeting basic needs. The tie for number two was two things. One was credit card debt. So a lot of y'all stressed about credit card debt. And then the tie for that was lack of emergency fund. Like, what happens to a person who has all of this stress going on, like every day, all of the time? So it's not just you have a bill to pay and then you get the money to pay it and then it's paid off and you're done with it. Sometimes people find themselves, and I hope this isn't true, but I know that it probably is for a lot of you. You find yourself in this condition that I call chronic financial stress. And let me tell you exactly what that is. An ongoing money-related strain that triggers anxiety, worry, or a sense of scarcity, along with a physical stress response in your body. So that's a lot. The reason why we got to talk about this is because if you're under chronic stress, where every day you're stressed out, you're worried, you're fearful, you're depressed, over time, that's going to begin to have a significant impact on your mental health, and it's going to really impact every area of your life. And so let's talk real quick. What are some of the potential mental, emotional impacts that prolonged chronic financial stress can have on you? Number one, it can lead to increased anxiety. It can lead to depression. It could lead to irritability. It could lead to a difficulty in you concentrating, or it could lead to avoidance behaviors. I know I had a client that I was working with one time, and she did not want to open her bill. She just let the mail stack up and I'll get to it when I get to it. But how many of you know that creates an even greater level of stress, because those bills are sitting in that corner talking to you every day. So it's like, I'm still here, haven't gone anywhere yet. So that's why we got to deal with this stuff head on. So those are just the mental, emotional symptoms. But some of the physical things like insomnia, high blood pressure, gastrointestinal problems, weight changes, eating disorders, or even substance abuse. And a lot of times we don't connect the dots. That's why I said the purpose of this channel is to help you connect the dots between your mental health and your wealth, the connection between how your money is impacting your mental health. So you may be thinking that stomach pain that you have or the high blood pressure is just stress from work. And it may be. I'm sure it is. There could be a number of factors. But if you dig deep enough, I guarantee you that you will find a financial connection to a lot of the stress that you're dealing with. And so, what I wanted to do is just give you some tips on how to deal with this. And the reason why this is so important, you can't just ignore it, because if you're in a prolonged state of financial stress and worry, it creates an environment of dis-ease in your body. And I don't know how many of you all have heard this, but dis-ease in your body over a long protracted period of time can eventually lead to disease in your body. And so if you don't do something about all of these stresses that you're dealing with on a daily basis and all of the symptoms that they're causing, the headaches, the high blood pressure, the weight gain. So why is it so important that we deal with this situation head on right now? The reason why is because if you stay in this prolonged state of being diseased in your body, in your mind, in your emotions, I'm talking about the worry, the stress, the anxiety, the can't sleep. If you stay in that state for too long, that state of dis-ease is eventually going to result in some type of disease in your body. And I'm not trying to speak anything over you, but it's just, you can go and study it yourself. Most medical conditions can be rooted in some sort of stress or some type of mental or emotional strain. So imagine going back to one of the statistics, like 65% of people are worried. Their biggest financial worry is just over the basic needs. So over a prolonged period of time, that can potentially impact your sleep. And if you're not getting enough quality sleep, that's going to impact your health. Like I said, it could lead you to a place of depression. Most marriages end in divorce because of financial matters, so it can impact your relationships. It can impact your performance at work. You just always stressed at work, and it seems like you're working so hard, but you're never getting enough to do the things that you need to do, much less even the things that you want to do. And then just your overall quality of life. Like, let me say this. I may be talking about the people who are struggling now, but let me just put this out here. You are supposed to live an abundant lifestyle. As a matter of fact, as I always like to say, wealth is already in your DNA. So I don't believe anybody watching this is in the place where you can't get to a higher level of life where you can actually start to enjoy it on your terms. But we got to deal with these root level issues here. And like I said, it starts with addressing this chronic stress. So what I want to do now is just share with you 6 tips. These are 6 things that you can do right now to address chronic financial stress in your life. And the great thing is that you don't have to earn another dollar. Now, I know part of the stress you may say is like, well, I just need more money, Gerard. I get that part, but there's a whole lot of other things you can do before we get to the money part. All right. So number 1, here's one thing that you can do. You have to expose the underlying narrative. So what do I mean by that? What are you telling yourself? What's the narrative that you've been telling yourself about the current circumstances that you're in? Where did this narrative come from? So are you telling yourself like, man, I'm going to die with this debt? Like, man, I'll never get to the place where I can truly have enough left over to take the vacation that I want, to be a blessing to the people that I want to be a blessing to. It don't seem like I'm going to ever get to that place. Like, I'm going to be struggling with these bills for the rest of my life. So I might as well just forget about them and just take this money and do the things that I want to do now. What is the narrative that you're telling yourself? Is it a narrative of hope, or is it a narrative of hopelessness? Is it a narrative of, I'm going to make it through this, I'm going to get to a place of abundance, increase, and having more than enough? Or is it going to be, or is the narrative, and I'm going to be on this struggle bus for the rest of my life? So this is so important because the narrative determines how you frame it. Like, if you don't frame a thing the correct way, you're going to make it 10 times worse than it actually is. Let me give you a quick example. You can have 2 people who experience the exact same thing. That could be losing a lot of money, going bankrupt. Doesn't matter what it is. You can have 2 people experience the exact same thing, but they respond to it in 2 totally different ways. The reason why is because I frame the narrative in different ways. One person could see that's the end of the world and fall into a deep depression. The other person can just be like, you know what? Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, but yo, let's keep on moving, man. We're not going to stop and camp out here. So you have to decide, how are you going to frame what you're going through? How do you frame your financial situation? What's the frame that you have around it? I want you to think about that with every area of life. How have I framed this? And the beautiful thing is, you can frame things any way you want to. But the problem is, we usually frame things in a way that works against us. So, what I want you to do, no matter what it is that you're going through, I want you to tell yourself, you know what? This too shall pass. I'm going to make it through this. I got this. I'm good, man. Come on, let's go. You life, this all you got? Let's go. So I need you to just frame things in a way that builds you up and make you feel good and optimistic about moving forward. All right, that's number one. Number two, you have to distinguish identity from situational facts. Now, this is really important. I spend a lot of time talking about identity. Identity first, everything else second. So what do I mean by identity? Identity is a composite. It's the composite portrait of how you see yourself, what you believe about yourself, and the subconscious narrative that's running in your mind. So all of your life experiences have created a composite portrait of how you see yourself. And you live your life from this portrait, whether you realize it or not. So what happens when your identity, or that portrait that you've created for yourself that you may not even realize exists, what happens when that portrait is one of, I can't make it, or I'm defeated, or I'm not strong enough to handle this? Like, it's all in the positioning of the identity. One of my favorite examples of this is the story of David and Goliath in the Bible. The army that went to fight Goliath, how did they see themselves? Like, man, you see how big that joker is? What we going to do with him? Like, man, they ran, I think they said 40 days. They all met up in the middle of the valley or whatever, and Goliath came out just like, yo, get your best man, whoever you want to, and let him come against me. And if he can kill me, you can have our army. But if I kill him, you all become our slaves. They were scared out of their wits. And so 40 days, chronic stress. They were living in chronic fear every day. David came, a little teenage boy, because of what he knew, because of the identity he had for himself. He looked and saw Goliath and just like, who is this? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? What was the difference between him and the rest of the men in that army? And I'm sure it was hundreds of them, but he was the only one that had himself properly positioned from an identity standpoint. And you know how the story turned out. David went just like, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to slay this giant. But before he even got to him, he said, this day you're going to be as the carcass of the Philistines. I don't know all the exact verbiage, but before he even encountered Goliath, he already spoke what was going to happen. Man, that's identity. That's what I'm trying to get you all to understand. So even with your debt, your student loans, I need you to see that as your Goliath, but I need you to see yourself as David. Like, you know what, debt? You going down today. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to slay you, but you are going to be eliminated from my life. All right. So that's number two. You gotta distinguish identity from the situational facts. Don't ever let a situation lead you to believe that it's bigger than you. No matter what it is, you always have to do the work to position yourself to make sure that you see yourself as bigger than anything that you come up against. All right, let's go to number three. Number three, you have to assess your current state of affairs. Simply put, you got to know your numbers. And I've been guilty of this. A lot of times I make things a lot worse. I used to make things a lot worse in my mind because I didn't take time to really calculate the numbers. So sometimes you may think what you're dealing with is insurmountable, but when you actually go and crunch the numbers and you see, okay, I got this much coming in and this is how much I owe, or this is how much I need to invest in this investment. When you actually get the numbers, it makes it a lot more realistic. So I need you to take the time, and before you start creating these narratives and these images in your mind of how something is, do me a favor. Go and get the numbers first. Assess the current state of your affairs so you know exactly where you stand and you're not basing anything off of something that you made up in your head. All right. Number 4, you have to set some aspirational goals for your desired lifestyle. Now, this is the big one. And the reason why is this. If you don't have any aspirational goals for the type of life that you desire, all you have left is the reality of your current circumstances. You don't have nothing to look forward to. So every day becomes a drag because what is it that you're working towards? I know recently I had a chance to go to Ghana back in April, and I was so excited leading up to the trip. I had told myself a long time ago that I wanted to go to Africa, had totally forgotten about it, and then the opportunity it didn't just come out of anywhere, but we'll talk about that later, because I had already, kind of like David said, what my intention was. The opportunity came and found me. And so because I had been doing what I needed to do with my finances, when the opportunity came, I was ready. But I tell you that because I had an aspirational goal that aligned with the desired lifestyle. And for me, that's to be able to travel all throughout the world. And so there was just so much excitement and anticipation. It gets a little bit slow. You have a goal written down and you're not sure when it's going to happen. But man, it's almost like when you get a bite, when you're fishing and you get that bite and you got something on the line. Ooh, boy, that's an exciting feeling. And so when you have these aspirational goals and you actually see things start happening to bring that into manifestation, it's exciting. So I don't care where you currently are financially. I need you to set some aspirational goals. And you could already be doing very well, but what's the next level of desire for you? What's the next phase of your desired lifestyle? I need you to set some aspirational goals around those areas. And after you do that, then let's go to number 5. Create a list of next action steps where those goals are concerned. And so having a goal is good, but we got to build the bridge to actually reach the goal. So you don't have to create a long list. All I need you to do is what's the next action step. So if you want to take a trip, let's say if you want to go on a Norwegian cruise across the world for 2 weeks, what's the first thing that you need to do? Maybe it's just open up a bank account so you can start setting money aside. Maybe it might be to go and research the cruise. I don't know. But all I need you to do is just figure out the next action step. And then after you do that, number 6, you got to execute. So all of these steps are good and they're very important, but they don't mean anything if you don't actually execute and take action on all of these different things. So you gotta put some action to all of the underground, all of the inside work that we're doing. You gotta put action to it, okay? Because that's the connection between what's going on internally and externally. It's the action to make it happen. Gotta execute. But let me say this. All of the stuff that I shared, it didn't require you to make any more money. Don't have to make any more money yet. Now, that'll eventually come with the goals that you set. But do you see why you have to do all of the inside and tangible internal work first? So a lot of times we just want to go, I need more money, man. I need more money. Can I borrow some money? Or, go and get some extra time on your job. And not saying that that's not necessary, because that may be your next action step. But I'm saying first, get your identity right. Make sure that the narrative is working for you and not against you. Make sure first that you assess the current state of your affairs. It may be totally different than what you think it is because you just haven't taken the time to figure out your numbers. I'm saying first, set goals according to where you want to go and not where you are. I'm saying first, create the action steps so you have a plan on how to reach those goals. And then we get to the place of execution. So look, I hope you all have found some value in this video. If you have, please do like and please subscribe to this channel and share it with other people. For my brothers, I have created a special community just for my brothers. I have this community called Brothers of Affluence, and we talk about the identity piece. We talk about the mindset and the belief system. But how many of you know at the end of the day, this has to result in some tangible finances, some tangible moolah. So the goal of that community is to help brothers reach a place of financial freedom. The measure of that is getting to your first 10K of residual income. Now, that may take some time, but we have the aspirational goal, and now we'll work towards that. So if you are a brother out there and you're looking for a community of men are in the process of going to that next level in your finances, check out Brothers of Affluence. I'll put the link to it in the description. And yeah, check it out. There's a 7-day free trial. So we have brotherly meetups every week. And basically, we just talk mindset, but we do the practical things to help move us closer to reaching that 10K residual goal. All right. Thank you all so much. Please leave some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about the lesson. Let me know what things you would like for me to talk about. And remember, identity, mental health, wealth, those are the primary things that I focus on. All right. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.